Hi, I'm Len, welcome to Thrifty Tones. Today we're talking locking Floyd Rose style trem systems, and this is my tier list video of the best to the worst. Now in this video I'll be talking about loads of different trems across loads of manufacturers. I have owned or played all of these tremolos, so this is just my personal opinion based on playing experience. This isn't from Facebook groups or discussion groups, this is my experience of playing those tremolos. So what am I judging these tremolo systems on? Well, there's a few different things. Firstly, the design of the system. Floyd Rose really broke the mold back in the 80s with his original patent for the system. And there's been lots of changes over the years. So we'll be looking at the different design elements that go into it. Definitely looking at materials as well, because that plays a huge role, I think, in terms of the quality of a Floyd Rose system. And of course, tuning stability is the main thing we're looking for. We want Floyd Rose or locking style systems that we tune up once and that's it. 10 years later, they're still in tune. And I do have guitars that do that, that you literally never even think about tuning them. They're just always absolutely bang on every time. Last category we'd look at is probably the feel of them as well. I think each Floyd Rose system feels a little bit different. I'll be talking a bit about flutter in this video, which is basically, I picked a guitar today that doesn't actually flutter. This trem system can't because it's not got a rear out on it. But a flutter is where you hit the bar and it kind of just moves and kind of vibrates a little bit. It can give you strings a real sense of like vibrato to them and a really interesting sort of feel. So when I say flutter, I'm meaning where you hit the trem and it kind of wobbles freely. It's got that real spring action to it. So feel will be really important as well. So the categories we'll be looking at today. Firstly, we've got the legendary category. Now these are the trems that you are literally 10 years from now, you're never going to have to do any service work on them or anything. These are just going to stay absolutely in tune. We're looking at the category here where we've got the finest materials, used on the system. There's no weak points in terms of the design. So to get into the legendary category, it's got to be really good design, really high quality materials, and obviously fantastic tuning stability as well. Feel's got to be good as well. So it's pretty much perfect tremolos. Next category, we've got the good category. Now I would say that these are the giggable trem systems. They might not be up there with the legendary ones in terms of their movement and overall feel, but these trems will stay in tune. They might not feel quite as good, but these are going to be ones that you can take out, you can do gigs with, and at the end of the song you're still going to be absolutely in tune, and they should feel pretty good. The next category is kind of the fun category, the acceptable home use kind of tremolos. So these ones are ones where perhaps if you don't own loads of Floyd Rose systems or lock-in systems, then these are ones that you would use at home, for a bit of fun, practicing your dive bombs and things like that. But the acceptable ones, you're probably not going to be taking those guitars out and using them in any kind of high pressure gig situations. And then in the bottom two categories, we get into the murky waters here. We've got the some issues category where there's problems with the trem. It might be a design flaw that over time has become evident, or there's just some problems with it. It doesn't work as it should do. You've got some tuning stability issues in there. It's not as good as it should be. And lastly, we do have quite a few Floyd Rose systems on the market, I would say, that are pretty unusable. I've come across these before. It completely wrecks your guitar. It makes the playing experience really frustrating. Unusable category needs to be in there. Okay, so without further ado, I've done these in a random order. So these are just going to be thrown at me, and I've not pre-planned this, so I'm going to be reacting sort of to each tremolo system from my experience of using it. I've sort of jumbled them all up and put them into a random order. So let's have a quick look. And first up is the original Floyd Rose. The original Floyd Rose. Okay, so that is the made in Germany. The king of Floyd Rose tremolos. I mean, we're obviously putting this in the legendary category. Everything on this is hardened steel. This is as great a quality as you're going to find. I've got one of these on my Hartfield guitar. There's a video about Hartfield Talon guitars. Yeah, original, made in Germany, Floyd Rose. If it's made in Germany, it should have a stamp on the bottom of the base plate if you take it off, and it'll say in very small letters, made in Germany. If you've got one of these on your guitar, you are absolutely rocking. 20 years from now, that guitar will still be, you know, playing just as well. These are absolutely amazing tremolos, perfect materials, brilliant design. I suppose if we were looking at negatives, we might say that they're quite expensive now. You know, these are quite expensive aftermarket installations. I think they're getting up to like £250 in the UK, if not more. So expensive to put on your guitars, but a really, really quality piece of equipment. Okay, next up out of the hat, we've got the Jackson JT580 Low Pro. Catchy title there, Jackson. Now, these were used a lot in the 90s on Japanese good quality Jackson dinkies and soloists and things like that. So I say in the 90s, early 2000s, going into the early 2000s. So the JT580 Low Pro, I would say is going into the good category. I think we're going to put that into the second tier. These are really good for tuning stability, I think. They will not let you down. I've gigged one of these on a red dinky from many years ago, and it was a brilliant trem. I'm not going to put this into the legendary category because I find the JT580 is a bit, how do I put this? What's the word for it? It's like clankier. Is that a word, clankier? But it's kind of heavy in your hand. You've got to put a little bit more effort and a little bit more pressure onto it. It's quite good sometimes if you're a heavy-handed guitar player. I'm quite heavy-handed. The JT580 is pretty good. It doesn't flutter like an original Floyd Rose will, like a lot of the stuff that's gone into the legendary category as well. So, but they stay in tune. You can dive bomb on them. JT580s are really, really good. Next up, we've got the Schaller Lockmeister. This is going into legendary category. Okay, so I think the Schaller Lockmeister, there are no design flaws here. All hardened steel. They're made by Schaller, you know, they're made in Germany by Schaller, the same people who make the original made in Germany Floyd Rose. It's basically a Floyd Rose. You know, it's not a rip-off because it's the same company making it, but it's Schaller's version of a Floyd Rose. It fits the same route as a Floyd Rose. Top quality tremolo, great parts. I was moaning about the original Floyd Rose price. The Schaller Lockmeister is a much more affordable version. So, you know, if you're looking for a top quality tremolo, Schaller Lockmeisters, absolutely phenomenal tremolos. Yeah, they're going in the legendary category for sure. Okay, next up we have the Washburn 600S tremolo. Now this was used on a lot of the Korean Washburns back in the day, back in the 1990s I think it was. Lots of the N2 models and sort of Mercury models had the 600S. Now this tremolo is quite an easy one to do because this tremolo is actually the same as the Jackson JT580 model. Okay, so whether you've got the 600 S or the 600, I think it's 600 Low Pro model, it doesn't matter. They're the same thing pretty much. They were both made by a company called Takuchi, and this is the TRS 101. It's just one's branded for Jackson and one's branded for Washburn. So they'll go right next to each other. There's neither one's better than the other really. So the 600S is the same as the JT580 tremolo. They're the same thing. So the TRS 101, if you've seen that as well, we could maybe add that in there as well actually. So the TRS 101, the Washburn 600S and the JT580 Low Pro, they are the same thing, made by the same company to the same specifications. They're just different brands on them, so they're different trems. But again, the 600S, the Washburn 600S, really good tremolo. You know, it's not top level, but it will keep you in tune. You know, much like the JT580, it's a good tremolo. Next up, another Schaller. We've got the original Schaller Tremolo. Now, this one, where do I put this? This is definitely towards the top. Now, the original Schaller is slightly different in terms of design to the original Floyd Rose, okay? The base plate is not the hardened steel that you get in on the original Floyd Rose systems, okay? It's slightly softer material, but the bits that actually touch the studs is hardened steel, okay? So I suppose you could say the original Schaller has got some weaker design points on it than maybe the original Floyd Rose design. However, I am going to put the original Schaller up into the legendary category. This is the first controversial one, I'd say, because the reason being, I own an original Schaller on my Jackson project, which I've done loads of videos on, the Crackle guitar that I've got. I bought an original Schaller for that. And I've read this a lot online as well. They just feel brilliant. You know, you can talk about the design and how that base plate is a slightly softer material than what you get on, you know, proper original Floyd Rose systems. But this is a German-made unit. You know, it's a German-made Schaller unit, and they just feel brilliant. They actually flutter better than my original Floyd Rose model does. So yeah, I've got to go for original Schaller. I'll put it towards the back end of the legendary category because we could moan about the design a little bit on the original Schaller. It's also got a lovely kind of smaller profile than the original Floyd Rose. It's a bit smaller in terms of the amount of space it takes up. I don't know why that's a good thing or not. And the bits at the bolts at the back that you tighten the blocks with, they're really thick. They feel really good quality on it. It's just a brilliant trem. So it's a bit of a controversial one, that. I suppose you could say it's in the good category, but I'm going to say it's in the legendary category. I think they're a great trem. They're absolutely brilliant. Next up, we're on to the high-end Ibanez Edge models. So in this category, I've put these three together. So we've got the original Edge, the Edge Low Pro, and the Edge Pro. Now, these are the top spec, you know, made in Japan, high quality, signature model kind of tremolos that Steve Vai and Joe Satriani and everyone use. I think all three are very similar in terms of quality. These will most definitely go into the legendary category. I love the Ibanez Edge. I think it might be my favourite tremolo. It's got on my RG, my RG505, my Edge original has the most flutter out of any of my trems. I don't know why. It's just absolutely brilliant. It never goes out of tune. If you've seen Steve Vai, you know, picking up his guitar and doing this and it's still staying in tune, you know he's doing that on an Edge original tremolo. You know that it's a quality piece of hardware. It's really good. So Edge Original, Edge Low Pro, and the Edge Pro, these are the top tier Ibanez models. Someone explained it to me once and said, once you get numbers after the edges, they're going downhill. So if they don't have a number next to them, they tend to be the top level in terms of the Edge. So these are legendary. I'm putting these right up here. Yeah, maybe in front of the Schallers. I don't know. I'd almost put these in front of the original Floyd Rose myself. I think the Edge is just brilliant. I've got an Edge original and it's just so good. It's amazing. Next up, we've got the original Floyd Rose without fine tuners. Now these were used on certain Kramer models really back in the day, back in the 80s. I'm going to put these quite low. I think I'm going to put this is controversial. I'm going to put these in some issues. Okay. Oh, that's controversial. Original Edge with no fine tuners. This is like Floyd Rose's original design. I'm just going to put this into some issues. I'm a live guitar player. I need fine tuners on my bridge, you know. Now I know that an original Floyd Rose without fine tuners is probably not going to go out of tune during a gig, but if it does, you're stopping the song, you've got to unlock the nut of your guitar, you've no fine tuners to get you back in tune. I think that would be a terrifying situation to be in. So these were used on some of the original Pacers, weren't they? The original Kramer Pacers. Yeah, I think I'm going to go into some issues with this. I mean, the issue is that you can't tune the guitar without unlocking it. That's an issue, right? That's an issue. So yeah, that's a controversial one. Original Floyd Rose, no fine tuners. We're going to go some issues with that one. Oh my God, the comment section has just been lit up, hasn't it? Next up, we've got the Jackson JT500. Okay, now this is a rip-off of the Schaller unit we talked about before, the original Schaller Tremolo system. It's exactly the same footprint. These JT500s were used in the Jackson Performer series, so like the Korean guitars. My Jackson Performer originally had one of these on. They've got a very soft base plate, these JT500s. I actually got decent tuning stability out of the one that was originally on there before I put my Schaller onto it. But I'm going to say some issues. I think I've heard a lot of problems with JT500s. They've got a really poor reputation. The one I used was quite good, but I think we've got some issues. The base plate is really soft and saddles move. The screws that hold the saddles down can strip quite easily on the JT500 and can move a little bit. So I think, yeah, we're going to say some issues. It's not unusable, but I don't think I would get it up to a gig standard. Is it home use, really? Like fun, acceptable? Maybe acceptable. JT500? Do you know what? I'm going to say acceptable. It was acceptable for me to play at home with a JT500. It didn't go out of tune. Acceptable. It's going in acceptable. Next up, we've got the Edge III. Oh, I hate this trem. This was on a Gem Junior that I had, and it was horrible. The Edge III. Oh, I'm going to say... I mean, I hate it. I'm going to say it's bottom tier. Yeah? Bottom tier? Unusable? I'm going to say it's unusable. The Edge III by Ibanez is an unusable trem. I've heard loads and loads of problems with them. I tried one for about 5 minutes. It was a horrible, clunky, heavy... It didn't feel like a lock-in trem. I think it's one of the worst ones on this list, actually. I think the Edge III is bad. I know loads of people in the comment section are going to say, I own an Edge III and it's fine. I don't care. This is not a good trem. I think this is poor. I'm not even going to say some issues. I think if you've got an Edge III on your trem, you should be making plans to replace it. I don't know if you can gig that. I hate them. The Edge IIIs. There you go. Next up, we've got the Ping Floyd Roses. Now, okay, so Ping were a company that when Schaller in Germany could not make the Floyd Rose, the Floyd Rose company went to Ping. I think it's called Ping West, the company, and they asked them, can you build us Floyd Rose trems? And Ping built these legendary tremolos. They were really, really good. Brilliant materials, same design as the Floyd Rose, but really good quality steel. I'm just going to put these in legendary category. These were basically the same as the original Floyd Roses, made by a different company, but to the same specifications. Eddie Van Halen had Ping trems on his PV Wolfgang, his first PV Wolfgangs, so Eddie played them live. There you go, that's legendary, isn't it? So Ping Floyd Roses, if you've got this little mark on the block of your tremolo, then it's a Ping Floyd Rose. Interestingly, some Ping Floyd Roses are on Squier Showmaster guitars, really cheap budget guitars. They have Ping Floyd Roses on them and they're absolutely amazing. So yeah, Ping Floyd Roses, check them out. There's loads of information online about Ping Floyd Roses. Next up, we've got the TRS Low Pro Trem. Now, this was used on the Ibanez models, things like the RG450, made in Japan. So good quality Ibanez guitars from back in the day, from back in the 90s. TRS Low Pro, I'm going to say has issues, and it's nearly into unusable. I got my first RG, which was an RG450 many years ago, and I could not keep that guitar in tune. Admittedly, I didn't know much about Floyd Roses back then, but the TRS Low Pro, this is a Takeuchi product, this, but it's not as good as the Takeuchi, you know, the Jackson one we spoke about before, and the TRS 101. The TRS Low Pro was a really awful, horrible tremolo. Very hard to keep in tune, very poor reputation, really soft metal on the bass plate. They were just bad. Am I going to say unusable? No, issues. I'm going to put issues in this one. Yeah, I did not have fun playing that at home. My guitar did not stay in tune for me. It was rubbish. They're rubbish trems. Oh, right. The Gotoh 1996T. 1996T. What a strange name that is. So the Gotoh 1996T is a made in Japan, hardened steel, brilliant tremolo. Brilliant tremolo. I've got this on my Squier parts caster. I am going to put this definitely in the legendary tier. The Gotoh 1996T is legendary. I am going to put it at the top of the legendary category. I think the Gotoh 1996T is better than the original Floyd Rose. I think it's a better tremolo than the original Floyd Rose. Oh my God, the comments are going to be ridiculous here, aren't they? Right, let me explain. Here's my reasoning for this. I think the Gotoh 1996T is the best locking trem system for the following reasons. And this is why I think it's better than the original Floyd Rose. This is why I put it higher. Firstly, you've got the socket that the arm goes into, right? I think that's better than the original Floyd Rose design, because you've got a little collar on there that you can tighten up so you can have the bar wherever you want it and it can be fixed. It's a brilliant design. Now, I know you can get that on the original Floyd Rose, but it's like an extra. You've got to buy it separately, so you can get a pushing arm, which is the same sort of thing. But the Gotoh just comes with it, so it comes with a better arm socket. The other thing I would say is as well, the saddles are quite ergonomic on your hand as well. So I would say the saddles are maybe a little bit of an improvement as well, and they feel a lot more comfortable. And also, a Gotoh 1996T is really cheap compared to an original Floyd Rose. It's kind of half the price. So there's three reasons why. So I think the Gotoh goes at the top. I'm not saying it's like a miles better trem than original Floyd Rose or an Edge. You know, Gotoh make the Edge actually. Gotoh, the company, make the Ibanez Edges, the proper ones. I just think it's a brilliant trem. I think it's so good. I never tune that guitar. It's absolutely phenomenal. The Gotoh flutters really well. Yeah, I've had it on a couple of guitars. The Gotoh, it's the winner. I think it's the big one. It's really good. Next up, we've got the Floyd Rose II. I've got this in my hands. It's on my Kramer. What's this? A Striker 300 ST. So the Floyd Rose II was a cheaper version of the Floyd Rose original, and I think it was Floyd Rose's attempts to produce a cheaper unit. They did a weird design on this. It's not double locking. It doesn't lock down here. So like that Ibanez one I was talking about a bit ago, this is the original. I don't know why they decided to do this design. So you put the strings through the saddle there, you put it through the back, and then the ball end goes onto the back of the saddle. It makes it less good in terms of tuning stability. Less good. It does, however, have hardened steel bits where it touches the screws, though. So it's a bit like a Schaller unit in terms of the base plate's quite soft, but the bits but like the original Schaller, the bits that touch the actual posts, the bits that touch the studs, are that's hardened steel. So the Floyd Rose II is going to go into acceptable. I've got a bit of a soft spot for it because I like this Kramer. But yeah, I'm going to put it in acceptable Floyd Rose II because for home use, it does stay kind of in tune. For me, it sort of stays in tune. The Floyd Rose II stays in tune. I wouldn't gig it as it is. However, maybe I shouldn't get into this, but you can change those saddles to locking saddles. You know, there's loads of locking saddles online, like, AliExpress do famously now a titanium set for like 30 quid. So you can put those on there. Now, obviously, this is the only trem I've suggested a modification to. So, straight away, that's controversial. But, there's good things about the Floyd Rose II, I think. The fact that it's got hardened steel bits that touch the post mean that you can live with it, I think, and you can definitely, adapt it. I just like it. I'm putting it in acceptable. It's good for home use. It's definitely not useless. You could argue there's some issues with it. I think it's acceptable. So Floyd Rose II is going into the acceptable category. Next up, we have got, I've not looked forward to this one, the Floyd Rose 1000. What's he going to say about the Floyd Rose 1000? Now, this might be controversial. I'm going to put the Floyd Rose 1000. This is the Korean version of the original Floyd Rose. Again, you have hardened steel all over the place, just like I've said with the Schaller Lockmeister, just like I've said with the original Floyd Rose. It's all hardened steel. It's just the Korean version of that. It's not made in Germany by Schaller. It's made in Korea. I'm going to put it at the very back end of the legendary category. And the reason I'm doing that is because I really like the Floyd Rose 1000. I think if you've got one on your guitar, don't waste your money upgrading, I don't think. Unless there's a big issue with it, I wouldn't waste my money upgrading with it. And I don't think there will be a big issue with it because they're good trems. I'm going to put it at the end of the legendary category, the 1000, because design-wise, it should be as good. Now, I know that the German Schaller steel is going to be slightly harder, or the Gotoh, Japanese steel is going to be slightly harder than perhaps what the Korean manufacturers can create for the Floyd Rose 1000. But still, there's no real weak points on this tremolo. There's no problems with parts or anything like that. So I think I've just got to go into that legendary category. I've had a few on Charvels and they just never let me down. They fluttered. They did all the things you want them to do. They didn't feel that different to my original Floyd Rose. I think they're absolutely amazing tremolos. If you've got a Floyd Rose 1000 on your guitar, it's absolutely great. Yeah, Floyd Rose 1000, it's going in. It's going in the legendary category. We're going to have it in the legendary category. Next up, we've got the Floyd Rose Special. Now, the question is, do I go giggable or acceptable with the Floyd Rose Special? There's design problems with the Floyd Rose Special, isn't there? Because it's a hardened steel base plate, which is what you want. It's zinc saddles on it, and it's a zinc block on it as well. I think over the years that's going to create problems for people. I'm going to say this one's going to be controversial. I think Floyd Rose Specials, there's a lot of Floyd Rose Special users out there. I'm going to say it's acceptable for home use. I wouldn't gig a special unless you modded it like I talked about with the Floyd Rose II. I think if you change the saddles to something really good quality, you've got a good trem at that point. But we're not saying mods, are we? So I think it goes in there with the Floyd Rose II, yeah, it's the same sort of problem, isn't it? The saddles are the problem. Yeah, the saddles are the problem. So Floyd Rose Special, acceptable use. I think that's fine. I'm going to stay that. I'm going to stick with that. Acceptable. It's good for home use. I wouldn't gig a Floyd Rose Special. Yeah, that's fine. Acceptable. Oh my God, the comments are going to be going off about that one, I think. That one will be controversial. Next up, we've got the licensed ESP, Jackson and Squier Floyd Roses. Now, these are ones that are, these have got the ESP logo on and the Floyd Rose logo on these. You see the Jackson ones on the JS32 series. So really quite a few people have these. I've heard that these are essentially Floyd Rose Special tremolos. I'm not sure if I believe that or not, but when I've been using them for home use, they've been fine. I would never gig one of these. I wouldn't gig like a JS32 Jackson tremolo. I had one on my ESP M100 years ago when I first got the guitar, and it was okay. It stayed in tune at home. I just wouldn't have gigged it, and I think parts of it started stripping after a while as well. Yeah, I think that one is going in acceptable category. They're kind of fun. If you've got them at home, great, but I don't think it goes into the giggable category. Right, last two. Okay, we're on to the cheap eBay, Temu, Alibaba, £25 Floyd Rose replacement tremolos. These are going in the useless category, I think. These are in the bottom tier. When I was doing my first bit of sort of converting Stratocasters to Floyd Roses, I did a project guitar, and just to learn the basics of putting a Floyd Rose, converting a Stratocaster into a Floyd Rose guitar, I bought a cheap one off eBay, and it was just absolutely the most useless thing you've ever had. When you tightened up the bolts at the back to tighten the blocks, to put strings in, they just stripped straight away. This stuff is the most pointless toy rubbish you can ever buy. They just don't work. So anything that's really, really cheap on eBay or Temu or Alibaba, I would stay away from it myself personally. And lastly, the Edge II tremolo. Okay, now before, when we talk about edges, I said that when numbers are next to them, be really careful, and the Edge III has plummeted in this list. It's not very good. The Edge II is a very different kind of thing to the Edge III. It feels a lot different. Where I'm going to put this is this giggable. These are good trems, right? The Edge II are good tremolos. They're very different to all the other kind of numbered edges and Ibanez trems that are out there. They've also got some cool technological things, like at the back you can sort of like tighten, rather than getting a screwdriver, you can tighten the tension just with your hand, which is quite cool, and they've got loads of nice design features on them. Decent quality metals as well. I think these would go into, these are sort of like a Jackson JT580. It's a good trem that's going to stay in tune. You could gig it. I think you could gig it an Edge II. They're used on some of the higher end premium RGs and gems. Yeah, Edge II is going into the second tier. It's going to go into the giggable category. Okay, so there we are. That's the tier list of the Floyd Rose and locking tremolos. Please do like and subscribe. If you enjoyed the video, please give it a like. It really helps with the YouTube algorithm. And all the best. I will see you soon. Many thanks.